What if the President of the United States walked onto live TV and got completely destroyed in front of millions? Tonight, Stephen Colbert didn't just interview Donald Trump, he ended him. You won't believe what happened next. It was just another Tuesday night at the Ed Sullivan Theater, and The Late Show with Stephen Colbert was kicking off like it always did. The audience had filed in, buzzing with excitement, ready for the usual mix of sharp jokes, celebrity guests, and Colbert's signature takedowns of the news. But underneath all that normal energy, there was this low hum of gossip floating around the room. Whispers about Trump's family had been swirling online for weeks. Strange rumors nobody could quite pin down, stuff about Barron, about Ivanka, about secrets the White House supposedly buried deep. Most folks in the seats thought it was just more internet noise, nothing that would actually crash the show. Little did they know, the night was about to flip upside down. Suddenly, the side doors swung open hard, and in walked Donald Trump himself. No announcement, no warning, just the man striding straight toward the desk with that familiar cocky walk. The entire studio froze. Some people actually stood up in disbelief. Others just sat there staring, mouths open. Trump flashed his trademark smirk and gave a quick wave, soaking up the chaotic mix of cheers, boos, and stunned silence. He didn't wait for an invitation. He just planted himself right in the guest chair and looked straight into the camera. "Folks, I'm here tonight because there's a lot of crazy fake rumors going around about my family," he said in that loud, commanding voice everybody knew so well. "And I'm going to set the record straight, right here, right now." The room felt electric. Trump jumped right in, taking total control of the conversation from the jump. He leaned forward, gesturing with his hands the way he always does, talking fast and loud about how unfair the media is, how the fake news makes up lies about his kids, how everything is tremendous and perfect behind closed doors. He didn't really answer anything specific, just threw out vague denials and pivoted to bragging about his business wins and election victories. The audience was hooked, hanging on every word, but they could also sense something was off. His answers felt slippery, like he was dodging real questions before they even got asked. Stephen Colbert sat there the whole time, calm as hell, just watching Trump with that small, knowing smile. He didn't interrupt, didn't rush to jump in. He just let Trump talk, let the bluster fill the air. Every now and then, Colbert would nod slightly or raise an eyebrow, reading the room perfectly. Then, after Trump wrapped up another long ramble, Colbert leaned in just a little, voice low and steady. "Mr. President, you say you're here to clear up rumors. So let's start with the biggest one. What's really going on between you and Ivanka?" The question landed like a punch. Trump's smile froze for a split second. Colbert didn't waste any time playing nice. Right after that loaded question about Ivanka hung in the air, he leaned forward a bit more, eyes locked on Trump like he was reading every twitch on the guy's face. "Mr. President, you keep saying everything's tremendous with your family. So let's get real. What's the actual relationship between you and Ivanka? Not the public version, the real one." The words hit the studio like a slap. You could hear a pin drop. People in the front rows literally leaned back in their seats, eyes wide, like they couldn't believe Colbert just went there on live TV. Trump's mouth opened, then closed real quick. That big, confident grin he'd been wearing since he walked in? It cracked for the first time. He let out this awkward half-laugh, the kind you give when you're caught off guard and trying to cover it. "Stephen, come on, that's ridiculous. Ivanka and I have a fantastic relationship. Best daughter, smartest, most beautiful, everybody says so. Tremendous. People are always trying to stir up trouble with fake stories." He waved his hand like he was swatting a fly, but his voice had this tiny edge to it now, not quite as smooth as before. Trump tried to bulldoze past the question the way he always does. He launched into this long ramble about how great his businesses are doing, how the economy was the best ever under him, how he beat the odds in 2016 and 2020, stuff nobody asked about. Every time he pivoted, the audience shifted uncomfortably. They could tell he was running from the topic. Colbert just sat there, patient, not jumping in right away. He let Trump talk himself into a corner. Then, when Trump finally paused to take a breath, Colbert hit him again, calm and quiet. "That's all interesting, sir, but you still haven't answered the question. What's the dynamic really like at home? Because the rumors aren't going away, they're getting louder." Trump chuckled again, but this one sounded forced, almost nervous. He shifted in his seat, crossed his legs the other way, then uncrossed them. "Look, Stephen, you know how the media is. They twist everything. Ivanka's incredible. Runs companies, helps with policy, total star. Nothing weird, nothing strange. Perfect family." But the more he talked, the more the cracks showed. His hands were moving faster, his eyes darting to the audience like he was checking if they were buying it. The room felt tighter, heavier. People were whispering to each other, phones lighting up faces in the dark. Everyone could sense it. Trump was dodging hard, and Colbert wasn't letting him off the hook. That's when Colbert decided to turn up the heat. He reached over to the side of his desk, pulled out his phone like it was no big deal, and glanced down at the screen. "You know, Mr. President, I've got something here that might help clear this up. Leaked messages. Texts, actually, from someone who used to work pretty close to the White House inner circle. Anonymous for now, but they're pretty specific." He paused just long enough for the words to sink in. Trump's face changed instantly, eyes narrowed, jaw tightened. "What texts? Fake, probably doctored. You can't trust anything these days." Colbert didn't flinch. He kept his voice steady, almost casual. "They talk about private conversations, family dinners, things said behind closed doors. One of them mentions how certain boundaries were crossed and how it was handled quietly. Starts getting into why people are asking these questions about Ivanka in the first place." The studio went dead quiet again. A few gasps slipped out. Trump leaned forward, pointing a finger. "That's a lie, total lie. I don't know who's feeding you this garbage, but it's disgusting, sad." His voice cracked just a little on the last word. Colbert looked right back at him, unflinching. "I'm just reading what's out there, sir. If it's all fake, why not shut it down right now? Tell us the truth. No spin, no sidetracks." Trump opened his mouth, closed it, then forced another laugh that died fast. The tension was choking the room now. Colbert didn't rush it. He just sat there for a beat, letting the silence do the work, watching the president fidget. Then, real casual, Colbert reached under his desk and pulled out this plain brown envelope, holding it up just enough for the cameras to catch it. "Okay, Mr. President, if those texts aren't enough, maybe this will jog your memory," he said, voice steady as a rock. The audience murmured, leaning in, eyes glued to the envelope like it was a ticking bomb. Trump's smirk faded fast, his eyebrows shooting up. Colbert tapped the envelope lightly on the desk. "This is a DNA report. Yeah, you heard that right. Barron did a test, and it confirms his real mother's name starts with an I." Boom. The words exploded in the room. Gasps everywhere, people clutching their seats, a few even yelling out, "What?" Trump's face went ghost white, like all the color drained out in a second. His mouth hung open for a split second before he snapped it shut, eyes wide with that mix of shock and fury. Trump didn't stay quiet for long. He shot up in his chair, face turning red now, veins popping in his neck. "That's absolute garbage. Fake news, total propaganda. You're making this up, Stephen. Disgraceful, sad," he bellowed, slamming his hand on the desk hard enough to make the mugs rattle. The audience was buzzing, some cheering Colbert, others just stunned into silence. Colbert didn't budge, didn't raise his voice. He just nodded slowly and started opening the envelope, pulling out a few sheets of paper. "Let's take a look, shall we? Right here, it says the genetic markers match up. Paternity confirmed, but maternity? Not what the public records say." He read off a snippet, all calm and factual. "Sample from subject BT shows 99.9% match to female donor identified by initial I. No match to listed mother." Trump was fuming, interrupting every few words. "Lies, all lies. Who did this test? Some hack lab? I'll sue everybody. But Colbert kept going, flipping to another page. And here's the breakdown. Chromosomes, blood types, all pointing the same way. If this is fake, sir, why does it line up so perfectly? The back and forth got intense, Trump yelling over him. Colbert staying ice cool, reading just enough to poke holes in every denial. The crowd was on edge, feeling the clash build like a storm about to break. Just when it seemed like Trump might talk his way out with more bluster, Colbert nodded to the control booth, and the big screen behind them flickered to life. Hold on, Mr. President. Let's not rely on paper alone. Got something else here from a whistleblower who couldn't stay quiet anymore. The video started rolling, grainy but clear enough. An old clip from years back, Trump and Ivanka in some private room, voices raised in a heated argument. You could hear Trump shouting, "We can't let this get out. It'll ruin everything. Barron's ours, but nobody finds out about the real setup." Ivanka fired back, tense and upset. "Dad, this lie's gone on too long. We should have told the truth ages ago." The room erupted. Audience members jumped to their feet, yelling, "Oh my God, and that's him." Trump's face twisted in horror, staring at the screen like it was a nightmare come true. He stammered, "That's edited. Deep fake, not real." But the clip kept playing, showing more. Trump admitting to covering up the DNA stuff to protect the family image. Whispers turned to outright outrage, people booing, some even chanting, "Liar." Colbert paused the video at the perfect spot, letting the damning words echo. Trump looked cornered, sweat beading on his forehead, the whole studio feeling like it was about to boil over. People were on their feet, some shouting, others just staring in stunned silence. Trump was breathing hard, face flushed, trying to shout over the noise that the whole thing was a deepfake setup. Colbert raised a hand, quieting the room just enough. "Hold on, Mr. President, we're not done yet. I've got someone here tonight who saw a lot of this firsthand." Before Trump could even process it, the side door opened again. Out walked a woman in her late 40s, sharp suit, no-nonsense expression. The audience buzzed instantly. A few recognized her. It was Sarah Klein, Trump's former personal aide from the early White House days, the one who'd quit quietly after a couple years and then vanished from public life. She walked straight to the guest couch, sat down without being asked, and looked right at Trump. "I'm here because I can't keep quiet anymore," she said, voice steady but carrying. "I was in the residence plenty of times. I saw things, heard things. And yeah, I saw the DNA test results when they came in. Barron's not Melania's biological son. The mother starts with I. You know exactly who." Trump exploded. "This is insane. You're a disgruntled employee, fired for cause. You've got an axe to grind, Sarah. Nobody believes you." He pointed at her, finger shaking. The audience was split, some booing Trump, others murmuring in shock. Sarah didn't flinch. "I wasn't fired, sir. I walked out after you told me to shred the original lab report. I kept a copy instead, and I've got notes from every family meeting where you and Ivanka argued about how to handle it, how to keep Barron from ever asking questions." Trump's eyes darted between her and Colbert, looking for an escape. Colbert leaned in. "Sarah, walk us through what you witnessed." She nodded. "Multiple times I heard the president say the paternity switch was the only way to protect the brand." Ivanka was in tears more than once, begging to come clean. He shut it down every time, said it would destroy his image if people knew the truth. The room felt like it was holding its breath. Trump slammed his fist on the armrest. "Lies, all of it. She's making this up for attention." Colbert didn't let the moment slip. He reached back under the desk and pulled out another folder, this one thicker, tabbed with color-coded pages. "Sarah brought these with her tonight, Mr. President. Cross-reference documents, hospital records from Barron's birth, side by side with the official ones filed later. Look here, the original birth certificate lists a different mother. Then a new one appears 6 months later with Melania's name. Signatures don't match, dates don't line up. And these? He held up a couple of sheets. Notarized affidavits from the attending nurse and the records clerk who say they were pressured to alter the files. Paid off, actually. Trump's face was turning purple now. He lunged forward in his seat. Forged? You forged those? This is a setup, a deep state hit job. But his voice cracked on the last word. Sarah shook her head slowly. No, sir. I witnessed the meeting where you authorized the payoff. I was in the room. The audience gasped again, louder this time. Phones were out everywhere, recording every second. Trump looked like he was about to snap, hands clenched, breathing ragged, eyes wild. Then Sarah reached into her jacket pocket and pulled out a small digital recorder. There's one more thing, she said quietly. She pressed play. Trump's voice filled the speakers, clear, unmistakable from a private call years back. Sarah, make sure that report disappears. Nobody can know Ivanka's the real mother. We'll lose everything if this gets out. Barron stays ours on paper. That's the deal. The recording cut off. Dead silence for a heartbeat. Then the audience lost it. Shouts, boos, a wave of, "Oh my God," rolling through the seats. Trump jumped to his feet, pointing at Colbert now. You're behind this. Conspiracy, treason. You and her, you set me up. His voice was raw, almost breaking. Sarah just looked at him, calm. No setup, sir. Just the truth you buried. Colbert stayed seated, voice low but cutting through the chaos. The tape doesn't lie, Mr. President, and neither does the evidence piling up here. Trump was shaking, face a mask of rage and panic, the whole studio vibrating with murmurs and outrage. Then Trump was back in his seat, but barely, gripping the armrests like he might bolt any second, his face a sweaty mess of denial and rage. Colbert glanced at the big screen behind him, then turned back with that calm smirk. Mr. President, we've heard from aides, seen the docs, listened to tapes, but maybe it's time to hear from family. Before Trump could snap back, the screen lit up with a live video feed. There she was. Ivanka Trump, looking composed but tense, her face filling the monitor from what looked like her home office. The crowd gasped loud, a wave of "no way" rippling through. Colbert's team had set this up on the fly, summoning her via a quick call during the commercial break. Ivanka's eyes locked on her dad through the camera. Dad, I didn't want to do this publicly, but you left me no choice. The lies have gone on too long. Trump's jaw dropped, then tightened. Ivanka, what the hell, turn this off. This is an ambush. But she kept going, voice cracking just a bit. Barron's my son, Dad, not Melania's. We hid it to protect your campaign, your image. But the deception? It's eaten away at us for years. I can't pretend anymore. The raw emotion hit like a gut punch, tears in her eyes, her words exposing every buried secret, every late-night argument they'd swept under the rug. Trump stammered, Sweetheart, no, this isn't you talking. They got to you. The studio felt electric, the audience hanging on every word, watching a family implode live on air. Colbert didn't interrupt the moment. He let it breathe, then piled on. Ivanka, thanks for joining us, and to back this up, let's look at more evidence. He signaled to the booth, and slides started flashing on a side screen. Hacked emails from Trump's private server, leaked by some anonymous source. One email popped up. Trump to Ivanka, years back. We need to lock down the lab results. Barron's DNA stays secret. Pay who you have to. The crowd murmured louder, phones flashing as people recorded. Trump wiped his forehead, countering weakly. Hacked? Illegal. Those are stolen. Doesn't count. But Colbert kept rolling. Next slide, a lab confirmation from an independent tester. Here's the full report, cross-checked. Genetic markers tie Barron straight to you, Ivanka. No doubt. Ivanka nodded on screen, her voice firmer now. I sent those samples myself, Dad. I needed to know for sure. Another email. Ivanka to a lawyer. How do we forge the records without traces? Trump's denials got feebler. Fake, all fake. You're twisting it. Colbert hit him with one more. A chain of messages showing payoffs to silence the original doctor. Each reveal built the pressure, accusations flying, cover-up, fraud, family betrayal. Trump was sweating bullets, his counters just echoes of lies and setup, the audience sensing his walls crumbling fast. Ivanka rapped her part raw. "It's over, Dad. The truth's out." The screen faded, but the damage was done, leaving Trump looking smaller, more desperate than ever. Just as Trump seemed ready to rally with another outburst, Colbert held up a hand. "One last piece, Mr. President. This came in anonymously tonight, a pre-recorded message from Barron himself." The big screen flickered again, and there was Barron Trump, looking young but serious, sitting in a plain room, staring straight at the camera. The audience went dead silent, a collective intake of breath. Barron's voice came through clear. "I've heard the rumors my whole life. Did the DNA test on my own last year? Mom, Melania, you've been great, but the results say different. Ivanka, if you're really my biological mom, why hide it? Dad, why all the lies? I just want the truth. No more secrets." His words were calm but hit like thunder, questioning his origins right there for the world. Trump's face shattered, eyes wide, mouth agape, then twisting into pure meltdown. He stood up, yelling, "Barron? No, this is manipulated. Deep fake. My own son. They got to him too." But his voice broke, tears welling up, hands shaking as he paced the stage. The audience erupted in murmurs, some sympathetic gasps, others outright boos. Colbert stayed cool, letting the message play out. Barron ended with, "Family shouldn't be built on deception. Time to own up." Trump collapsed back into his chair, muttering, "Ruined. Everything ruined. His composure gone, the public facade in pieces." The studio vibrated with shock. Trump couldn't take it anymore. The recording of Barron's voice, Ivanka's live confession, the mountain of emails and forged records, it all crashed down on him like a tidal wave. He shot to his feet so fast the chair screeched back, face beet red, eyes wild with fury. "This is over. You're all done. Lawsuits, big ones. Defamation, conspiracy, everything I've got," he roared, pointing at Colbert, then at the big screen, then at the audience like they were all in on it. He spun toward the exit, storming across the stage with heavy steps, the whole room watching in stunned silence. But right as he reached the edge, Colbert stood up, calm, deliberate, and stepped into his path just enough to block him for a second. In his hand was one final photo, blown up on the screen behind them. A grainy shot from years ago, Trump and Ivanka in a private hospital hallway, her visibly pregnant, his hand on her shoulder, both looking tense. "One last thing before you go, Mr. President," Colbert said quietly. "This picture, hospital security cam, timestamp matches the original birth records. Care to explain why you're there with Ivanka on the day Barron was supposedly born to someone else?" Trump froze, staring at the image. His mouth opened, then he shouted, voice cracking, That's nothing. We were just visiting, family stuff." But the slip was out. Too late. The audience caught it, a ripple of gasps and murmurs. Trump shoved past Colbert, shoved the door open, and disappeared into the hallway, the slam echoing like a gunshot. The second he was gone, the studio detonated. Cheers erupted from half the crowd, boos from the other half, people jumping up, clapping, yelling, some even chanting, "Colbert, Colbert!" Phones lit up everywhere, live streams, tweets flying out in real time. The big screen switched to a live feed of X and TikTok reactions pouring in. Trump just melted down live. Ivanka confirmed it. Holy crap. This is the end of his image. Hashtags like hashtag Trump exposed and hashtag Colbert wins trending hard within seconds. The room was pure chaos, exhilaration, shock, disbelief all mixed together. Colbert stayed standing for a moment, letting the noise wash over him, then raised both hands to quiet things down. He looked out at the audience, that small, satisfied smile back on his face. "Well, that just happened," he said, voice steady but carrying a quiet triumph. Tonight wasn't about jokes. It was about truth, and sometimes the truth hits harder than any punchline. The crowd roared again, louder this time, a wave of approval crashing through the theater. He sat back down, exhaled slow, and added, "Whatever comes next, lawsuits, spin, more denials, the facts are out there now, and they don't go away." Colbert leaned back in his chair, the lights dimming just a touch as the band kicked in softly. He looked straight into the camera, calm as ever, but with an edge that said this wasn't over. "To everyone watching at home, thanks for staying with us. This night showed what happens when secrets get too big to hide. There's fallout coming, big fallout, and I'm pretty sure we haven't seen the last of it." He gave a small nod, almost like a promise. "We'll be right back after this." The screen faded to black, but the energy lingered. Electric, raw, unforgettable. People in the audience were still talking over each other, replaying clips on their phones, arguing, laughing, freaking out. Outside, the internet was already exploding, the backlash against Trump spreading like wildfire. Colbert had flipped the script, taken control, and dropped the mic on one of the biggest public takedowns anyone had ever seen. The story didn't end here. It was just getting started, and everyone knew the real storm was only beginning. If you enjoyed this, hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow.